I have been very supportive of strategic staffing in the 2 years that I've been on the board, and will continue to be. When it comes to distributing the resources, I'm more interested in the outcomes. I want to know, where do we want to be as an organization? And as an organization, we want to close that achievement gap without bringing the top down. We want the top to continue rising. We want the bottom to come up faster. We want the graduation rate to go to 90%. And so I look at it, if that's our outcome, what resources do we need to put in place? And I am very comfortable if that means we have to spend X amount here and X plus Y over here. I am very comfortable in that. I have been a supporter of that. Have been a supporter of the strategic staffing initiative, where you take a strong principal, a proven principal, and allow him or her to bring roughly 5 teachers with them as they go into some of the low performing schools. And you give them 3 years to do the turnaround, almost hands off. So it allows them to change the culture of that school. And very supportive of doing that. So yes, Way to Student Staffing, on board with it, have been since day one.
In line with that, talk a little bit more about strategic staffing help. Is, I think, affects what, 15 or 20 schools?
Roughly around 25.
25 maybe now. And of course, a number of people will be phasing out this year because it will be the end of their third year. On the other hand, schools that are majority poverty, which typically indicates, according to research, that there are a lot of additional needs in those schools that need to be met. Probably CMS, probably half the schools or more are in that category. How do you assess, or do you think it's important to assess, whether in fact the other schools that are not involved in strategic staffing have comparable staffs, have a good balance of experienced and successful teachers, and are not overrun by just new teachers, have teachers with master's degrees or particular national board certified teachers that you would come to expect in our or you see that we have in high-flying schools. How do you know whether the schools that are similar to the ones that you're putting strategic staffing in have that type of staffing that's necessary for them to succeed, or is that important?
It is important.
What do you do about it?
Well, I think one of the things, and I've never been shy about this, I'm a fan of the Teach for America. I am a very big fan of that. And people tell me, but Tim, you've got teachers who, they leave after 2 years. Yeah, you're right. But in that 2 years, you have individuals who are the top students from the top universities in this nation, who come in and spend 2 years very intensively working with those kids. And I'm very comfortable with that because the results I've seen, they're very successful. And if that means they can come in and we can get 2 good years out of those individuals, I'm very comfortable with that. One of the things that TFA does that we can't, that the state of North Carolina doesn't allow us to require, is TFA. Yeah, I'm an advocate of, you've got to find a way to get parental involvement in schools. TFA, to be part of that group, you have to reach out and make contact with the parents or guardian of every one of your students. You have to. It's in your contract. We can't require that, don't require that of our normal teaching corps. They try to reach out, but it's not a requirement. And so with the Teach for America, that's part of the thing that I like. They have to have that contact with the parents. I also like the fact that you've got kids who are in some of these struggling schools who are having contact, daily contact, with some of the highest performing, smartest individuals that come out of the colleges and universities in this nation. To me, that is unbelievable, that you can get somebody with that sort of knowledge, that sort of drive, that's willing to come into a school for 2 years. That's the type of influence that I think is necessary for those kids. To see somebody like that that says, wow, they're really not that much older than me, but look at what they're doing and the knowledge that they're imparting on them. I think I'm excited about that.
Teach for America teachers are a very neat group of teachers who, in fact, are highly motivated, and so I think most of us share the excitement about their enthusiasm, as are you teachers coming out of our universities, out of our top universities. But according to research, Teach for America teachers in terms of achievement, other than in a few specialized subjects in high school, really don't do any better than the first and second year teachers that are coming out of our traditional universities, who also are well motivated. And since they leave before they reach that 4-year plateau, which is when you do see a significant change in terms of teachers' success, that means that that still, if that is our solution by itself, it still creates a school that has large numbers of teachers in that early category where they're not successful.
It's not a solution by itself, just like strategic staffing isn't a solution by itself. Strategic staffing, you're only allowed to bring in 5 teachers. But what you are doing is you are bringing in a culture change at that school. And I think when I look at the Teach for America, it's very similar. You're bringing in a different mindset, an enthusiasm that may or may not be there. Somebody who's looking at it with a different point of view. And so I have, do you want an entire school of Teach for America? Not necessarily, but it's certainly going to be an integral part, needs to be an integral part of the CMS program, particularly at those schools, those challenged schools. One of the other things that we have done that I'm very comfortable with, I represent District 6 right now, and I have people who tell me, Tim, we feel like we're a training ground for principals, because as soon as a principal gets named, they spend 3 or 4 years in a District 6 school, and they're pulled away. And my response to that is, I'm comfortable with that. Because I would argue that some of the District 6 schools, when it comes to being a principal, are probably, some of the challenges you face are probably a little easier. You have different challenges, but some of those, when you're learning how to become a principal, you're learning what it takes to become a principal. You're not going to succeed if you are immediately thrown into one of those tough school environments. So I've told folks I don't necessarily have a problem with District 6 being viewed as a training ground, because we're getting some really good young folks, young professionals, who are cutting their teeth, who are doing a great job, who have a tremendous amount of support from the parents and the teachers. And if we can teach them, help educate them or train them on what it means to be a principal, let them figure that out, get their skills, and then move them into some of those tougher environments, everybody's going to be more successful.